Greetings, wise acolytes of the Force, and welcome back to the archives. Thanks to Star Wars number 35, we now have an official explanation on Luke Skywalker's green lightsaber, and confirmation that the crystal itself is older than the Jedi Order, as well as exactly how Luke was able to imbue the green coloration upon it, as well as the revelation of a brand new red kyber crystal that shares some sort of connection to the young Skywalker. All of these brand new confirmations solely take place in canon continuity. The comic takes place solely on the world of Christophsis, where Luke and his friend Greta have made their way to Dr. Kuata. We learn that Dr. Kuata is an expert on kyber crystals, and that before the Clone Wars placed Myito and Christophsis in danger, he did research on both of the planets, research that would later interest Galen Erso as he began work on the Death Star project. Because the super laser of the Death Star was powered by a kyber crystal, Galen Erso sought Dr. Kuata's help. Eventually, Kuata was recruited by the Galactic Empire. However, after many of his colleagues began to disappear who spoke out against the idea of the Death Star, Dr. Kuata fled in fear of his own life, making his way back to the planet of Christophsis, where we find him in this comic book in the years 3 to 4 ABY. To catch up, Luke Skywalker has been using a yellow ancient High Republic Jedi lightsaber, a lightsaber that he gained from a High Republic outpost. However, the yellow lightsaber has been damaged, and therefore the main journey for Luke now is to construct a lightsaber of his own, the first step in which being a kyber crystal. Luke is extremely limited as to where he can look for a kyber crystal, as many of the worlds that are rich in kyber have been plundered by the Empire. Most importantly, the sacred planet of Ilum has been plundered, and no kyber crystals remain. As the comic opens, Luke Skywalker is meeting with Dr. Kuata. Dr. Kuata, who has more kyber crystals than Luke has ever seen, laced around in rings and also around his neck as jewelry. Dr. Kuata appears to be able to understand and listen to the kyber crystals. What's most intriguing about this though, is he has many different kyber crystals of many different variations and colors, including red and even some purple. The kyber crystals themselves whisper to the Doctor, saying that Luke needs their help. As Luke offers up his High Republic Jedi lightsaber to Dr. Kuata, he snatches it from his hand and begins to tinker with it, immediately spotting where Luke's problem lies. Your little buddy here's dang near broken in half. It's doing its best for you, but I don't know what you expect. They're minerals, not miracle workers. The Doctor then tells Luke that he'll have to do something for him if he's going to tinker with the yellow kyber crystal, saying that it will be nothing for a Jedi. In the lab, Dr. Kuata is shocked at how little Luke actually knows about lightsabers as a Jedi. Your lightsaber is kinda weird. The hilt and the crystal make me think it was originally an old temple guard saber. But these innards, did you build this, Luke? Luke responds with, no, I found it in a ruined temple, but I've worked on it some. So has my R2 unit. The Doctor then goes on to explain the intricacies of a lightsaber. A lightsaber has 5 main parts: the power cell, the casting, the focusing lens, the emitter, and of course, the crystal. The crystal's the key. It focuses not just the energy from the power cell, but also from the Force itself. If you get a good connection between the crystal and the wielder, it should almost feel like the saber's moving by itself. You don't even have to think about it. Or that's what they say. I'm no Jedi, no Sith either. I wouldn't know for myself. The rest is just wiring, an on and off switch, and whatever fancy extra bits people want to build into the blade. All in all though, it's a pretty simple device. Following in the comic is an exceptionally interesting part of the lore, where Luke reveals that he hasn't really felt that connection with any lightsaber that he's ever used before. He states that he may have come a little bit close, but that the yellow lightsaber didn't quite fit him. Neither did his father's blue lightsaber, although he does make the distinction that the blade of Anakin Skywalker was closer to what the Doctor is describing than the High Republic blade, revealing that Anakin's lightsaber does hold some connection with Luke, his very son, but it is not perfect. Dr. Kuata says that that is because you found this one, you didn't choose it, and it didn't choose you, guessing the other one was something similar. As Dr. Kuata continues to tinker with the High Republic blade, he pulls out a red kyber crystal, pulsing with energy. There's supposedly a way to pull the dark side out of red crystals. I've never seen it done, and it requires the Force. That's why I want you to do it. It will be fascinating to observe, a huge boom to my research. Although Luke is apprehensive, he eventually decides to meditate upon the red crystal, attempting to heal it. When Luke connects with it though, he is instantly granted a vision of a grand hall, the insignias of the Sith laced on a dark side throne. It appears to almost be a party with what could be dozens of Sith gathering. Upon the throne sits a man. Well, a guest. How lovely. Be welcome, approach, and tell me your name. I would know how and why you have entered my hall. Luke's consciousness in the Force is within the very red kyber crystal itself, and the one who imbued their very essence upon the crystal sits on the throne. Luke responds, I meditated on a red kyber crystal. I was trying to heal it, but I wasn't expecting anything like this. I was told. Luke is then cut off. You were told you would find pain and rage and fear and suffering and sorrow. Not in my hall, young master. You came here to heal me, but what if I do not want to be healed? I am not sick, young master. Your ministrations would to me be a form of violence. The ancient Dark Lord grabs the mechanical hand of Luke. You have experienced violence, I think. You have experienced pain. We can use it together. The very poles of the dark side and the crystal within reaching out to Luke, attempting to bond with the young Jedi. This comic panel gives us a ton of insight into what the poles of the dark side actually feel like. In some cases, it can actually be a physical manifestation of the energies of the dark side reflected and enhanced through the kyber crystal, a literal call, and this ancient Sith Lord reflects the wills of the dark side itself. Luke is then granted another vision. He has entered the ethereal plane where his father, Vader, once ventured. In the distance, he sees the spires of his father's castle, and then a pure dark side reflection of Lord Vader himself. Luke, shocked, attempts to use the crystal, but the vision comes to a shaky end. As Luke comes back to the physical realm, he is terrified at the prospects of such a powerful dark side energy, telling Dr. Kuata that he thinks that he saw his father. The great Jedi, the Doctor responds. What would a great Jedi be doing inside of a red kyber crystal? As Luke again finds his footing, Dr. Kuata offers him a different form of kyber, a clear kyber crystal. Don't worry, boy, you'll find your next task to be much less traumatic. I'll get to work on your saber right now. In the meantime, see what you can do with this. Luke then says, a clear crystal? I've never seen one of these before. Did it come from a Jedi's lightsaber? No, it's raw, a young little thing, only 1,000,000 or so years old, kinda chatty. Luke then says, what do you want me to do with it? Just connect with it, see what happens. Just as the Jedi of the Clone Wars era would imprint upon clear lightsabers, now has Dr. Kuata gifted one to Luke, revealing that in Star Wars canon, Luke too, to at least some extent, imprinted upon the crystal, but also that he may have had some help. The issue continues as Luke begins to meditate on this clear, undisturbed kyber crystal, a crystal older than the Jedi itself. A green hue begins, and along with it, another vision. Master Yoda, are you really here? Here I am, Luke. Where else should I be? Luke responds, this isn't real. None of this is real. But I'm going to ask another question anyway. Where have you been? I reached out to you with the Force so many times. You never answered. I've been trying so hard to learn everything I need to know on my own. I've been hurt, so hurt, and it's all so confusing. Why couldn't you just help me? All Jedi walk their own path. All Jedi must walk their own path. Know this you do, or return to me you would have. You did not wish to speak to me, Luke, and so you did not. A great decision lies before you. It has nothing to do with the Force or being a Jedi. About yourself, this decision will be. Until you make it, a Jedi you cannot be. Luke, now aggravated, says this. This is hopeless. You say so much, but you never tell me anything. I don't have time for this. I'll learn what I need to from the Jedi text I found. Found one of the sacred texts you did? Well done, my student. I sure did, and I did it without your help. I'll be fine. I appreciate everything you've taught me, but I'm going to leave now. Goodbye, Master Yoda. What am I doing? Saying goodbye to a figment of my imagination. Time to get out of here, get my saber, and go home. As Luke attempts to leave, the vision refuses to end. As within the physical realm, the Kyber crystal pulses with the energies of the Force. Within the vision, Luke says this: "The Force, it's pulled back from me. It's been doing this lately. I don't know where it goes. I don't know what to do. Oh Luke, when night it is, the sun gone? I mean, of course it's not. Of course, obvious it is. Goodbye, my apprentice." As the vision ends, it is revealed that Yoda was actually there and was not a figment of Luke's imagination, but rather that through the crystal itself, it was able to connect him with the old Grand Master. This is confirmed when the Force Ghost of Obi-Wan Kenobi appears on Dagobah to Yoda. Yoda explains that even though Luke did not know what was going on, his mind did reach out to the Grand Master and did venture to Dagobah. This is a critical revelation for Obi-Wan as well as Yoda, that even though Luke didn't do it intentionally, his mind did reach back to his masters and his Jedi training. When Luke gains consciousness, it is revealed that the once clear Kyber crystal is now green, and the emerald blade of the great Luke Skywalker is born. So what does this conversation between Yoda and Luke infer? And why did Luke's Kyber crystal turn a green coloration? The red Kyber crystal granted Luke a vision of Lord Vader, and yet the clear lightsaber crystal that had no allegiance in the Force whatsoever turned Luke to Yoda. The training of Grandmaster Yoda has influenced the young Skywalker so much, even though he does not realize it yet. And because of the influence of Yoda and Obi-Wan Kenobi, his lightsaber crystal is green, revealing to us that the studies that a student takes upon themselves will ultimately reflect in the color of their blade, and that to some extent, the blade coloration of one's master also plays into what one imbues on their own crystal. The influences of Yoda have changed Luke, and although he does not realize it yet, he is on the clear path of a Jedi consular. A fact that gives Yoda hope that Luke will indeed redeem the Jedi and destroy the Sith. Following this, Luke Skywalker tells Dr. Kuwata that he will be taking the green Kyber crystal as well as the red one, and that even though the red coloration of the Sith denied him before, he will attempt to heal it. But anyway, my friends and acolytes, that is how in Star Wars canon, Luke Skywalker imbued the green coloration onto his lightsaber. But now, what are your thoughts on it? Do you like this explanation for Luke's Emerald Blade? And what are your thoughts on the lore expansion in this brand new comic issue? As always, my friends, thank you so much for visiting our archives today, and reach out and force crush or push that subscribe button if you haven't yet. And as always, may the Force be with you.